Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Go Get It podcast with Rob Butler. This week's guest is Taylor Sims Brown. Taylor's the vice president of Messy Mutts, a pet product company that sells to the biggest retailers here in the Canadian market. He's going to talk to us about how he started his career in the trade show space and evolved that business to where it is today. So if you like the idea of sales or you want to talk about pets, why don't you stick around and let's go get it.
Let's go. Let's get it.
Welcome to the Go Get It podcast, Sims Brown.
Hey, thank you very much. It's exciting to be here. I was flattered to think I fell in your bucket of successful individuals. So here I am.
Absolutely. You've created a really clean path career-wise for yourself and really consistent, and like your loyalty to doing and building upon your skill set that you've been able to. I think that does, not to say it's an anomaly, but it is rare where you do see, I think even I'm guilty of it when I was younger, moving around more than I may have otherwise liked to have. And in that thought, you've been very committed to more of a sales type of focus. And again, we'll get a little bit deeper into it. But to start things off, though, I'm going to put you on the spot and I'm going to do the same thing. What comes to mind if I said the first interaction that we had together, or what comes to mind in terms of the first time we crossed paths? I've got my version. I'm kind of curious what yours might be.
Oh, mine, it's got to be the ski hill. I mean, you were, I think, twice the size of me, human wise, and I would have showed up at a ski race looking at you, meeting you. I knew your younger brother a little bit. And looking at you and being like, I got to race against this guy. I mean, I think my whole body was the size of your leg. And anyways, you were a big guy. You'd grown early, but you were also you were just super nice, respectful. Like, you never know with the older guys. I think you're 1 or 2 years older than myself. And you know, when you're a young kid in your teenage years, people that are a little bit older aren't always nice, aren't always the nicest or most welcoming. And that would be the opposite of what you were. So I remember being like, oh my gosh, like what have I gotten myself into with this ski racing career?
Oh, you're being way too kind. Like the tall thing, it's funny because Tim Matthews had the exact same first impression. Like, no. Oh my God, he looks a lot bigger than I do. And he said he was really nervous at the ski race, but you're very kind in saying that I was nice. Thank goodness that was the case. But mine's very similar, but in the reverse fashion, showing up at a race and then looking at the downhill suit, or for those that don't ski, like a really tight ski suit that we have to wear in minus 20 degrees, then looking at me and then looking at the version that you were wearing, it does stand out in my head. And now, granted, I know you caught up to everybody, and by now you're actually a better skier than all of us. So I think that's funny in terms of trajectory. And actually, this might play really well into what we're going to talk about today. But just because something at that time maybe wasn't based on size, skill, experience, whatever it might have been, you know, fast forward a couple of years later, and all of a sudden you've caught everybody that you're competing against, and maybe for certain things just outside of your control. You're always working probably hard to get to that higher level of skill or speed or race competitiveness, but part of it might have been out of your control, but you stuck with it. And in fact, you, like I said, now I think you're the champion of Collingwood as far as I remember, going around in all the seniors races. So kudos to you.
Yeah, thanks. I stuck with it a little bit longer. So it's actually to that point. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said, especially for people that are starting their career. It's very easy to get caught up in short-term goals and looking around at what your friends are up to, what they've accomplished. I mean, everybody, you know, if you built a solid network of individuals, which, you know, I hope everybody does, it's only going to be beneficial. And if you have a solid network, your friends and your pals are they're going to hit home runs at different times. And it's important to keep your head in the game and stay focused on what you've got, because it is a marathon, the life, a career. It's a path where different decisions take you down different roads, but they yield different results at different times. So, you know, going back to that skiing analogy, I think it's important just from a mental standpoint to to constantly revisit your short, your long-term goals, stay focused, but also don't get caught up if things don't hit right out of the gate on your first try. Because, I guess we're into year 20, 30, whatever we've been working now. It's a journey, and things can happen quickly, but what you're doing is you're always, building skills, building blocks, something that you can leverage into future opportunities. So yeah, probably a good analogy with the skiing and sports and anything for that matter.
So your personality by default mode, it's absolutely high octane, high energy. Let's go, Energizer Bunny. You've always been that way, or at least ever since I've known you. And I think it's an infectious quality that works incredibly well in group settings, in leadership positions, being able to lead a group or lead a client or an audience with a higher amount of energy than anybody else that you're working with. It just sets the tone, even though you're not maybe doing it intentionally. It's just naturally through osmosis, everybody has to keep up. So you've got that skill set and you've always had it. So one thing I'm going to kind of ask you, and I don't mean to go too off script, but can you just talk us through where you are today in your career and maybe some of the bigger decisions you'd made along the way to get there?
Yeah, currently, I'm the title is VP of Sales for a small pet company called Messy Mutts. I've been with this organization. It's a smaller division of Jazzcore Housewares, which has been around for 30 plus years. Jazzcore Housewares was a housewares distributor, and I came on board with them definitely over 10 years ago. But it was at a time where we were working primarily with major retail chains, Canadian Tire, Loblaws, Costco, and that's what I got involved with, national account management for them. But through my time with the organization, there's been a lot of volatility in the Canadian market. Almost every department store has gone bankrupt. I was working with Zellers, Home Outfitters, Target. These were multi-million-dollar accounts that literally disappeared overnight. And obviously, we're just seeing the decline of the Bay. So probably closer to 10 years ago, we decided to focus on an industry that we were a little bit more interested or passionate about. And that's kind of where the pet business started up. And it's been a long road developing that over the past 10 years. But, it accounts for probably 80% of our company's revenue now. And it's not such a small business anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
That's significant.
It's become the main sort of vertical of our business. It's expanded our market out of Canada. Most of our business is done in the United States. It started with, a couple of dog bowls. Now we've got over 200 products that we develop. And that's an interesting game when, you're making real items and seeing them develop from concept to, packaging to in the stores to in consumers' homes. It's quite a process, but that's kind of the journey I've been on. So even though I've been with the same company for north of a decade, I feel like it's been at least two different companies. And then my role has transitioned from, where I got my foot in the door as a national account sales manager, that's moved to more of a general manager position within this organization to developing new products. We're involved with product creation and identifying market trends and what consumers need. We're constantly trying to figure out, what's the next product that needs to be made? How do we stay on trend? How do we stay relevant? Because we're making real products. You got to be relevant every year. You need to be introducing something new. So yeah, my role shifted from that sales management right into product development to managing the entire global supply chain to running an inside-outside sales team and bringing pet products to life.
Yeah, it's evolved materially, as you can tell, and I'm sure some of the geopolitical risks, maybe we get into that a little bit in terms of tariffs and how that forces you to adapt. Probably COVID changed people's, buying power or purchasing power or aptitude to buy pets. Like I know our family certainly did during that time. So maybe that influenced some of where you're at today. So we'll get into that. But if you then had to think about that career progression, the three things that you think were instrumental in what you'd recommend somebody to be thinking about and why, or things that you might have done differently if you had an opportunity to do it again, what would be the first thing that you might lead off with?
Yeah, the reason I kind of fell into this path, I want to say fell in, because going back to when I began this sales career, one of the big things that stuck out, when I chatted with various mentors through my younger years, they identified my interpersonal skills and what we talked about a little bit earlier, just the energy, the ability to communicate with individuals, the ability to network. And, sales was a path, a very sensible path where you could monetize that skill. I mean, that's what sales can be. If you're an individual that does like working with individuals, understanding people's problems, building products to solve those problems, whatever it may be, it's going to make the role a lot easier for that individual. So that's probably the foundation that guided me down the path of sales. Through my career, I've tended to work for smaller, more entrepreneurial style companies. And for me, I think it's been a great fit. I mean, I've always been sort of fascinated with all aspects of the business. I think when you're working, especially in sales, you're on the front line of everything. So you're learning what your customers are saying, you're understanding what they need, and you're really the first person that can bring the feedback back to your organization to shape change or shape the future of that business. Working for a smaller organization has really allowed me to sort of see all aspects of business. You can see what's involved from logistics, operating standards, cash flows, banking, everything that makes a business successful. And as you grow a business, from various levels or through life cycles of a business as you evolve. And that's something that has always kept me engaged. By no means in sales is anything monotonous. Every day is different. You're always dealing with customers, there's different challenges. And obviously with product, there's endless challenges involved that you're continually trying to solve. So going back to your question on, what might I have done differently? It'd be interesting. I've never really put myself in a massive corporate environment where I really haven't been in control of the product I've been selling. I wonder how I would have thrived in that. I just don't know. It's something that's going to be a big question mark at this point in my career. I don't see that happening. But a positive I do see is from a sales side is everything that I've been selling through my career. I've been involved in creating, and I think that if you're involved in creating something, or if you enjoy what you're selling, I mean, there's roles where you're shaping the product you're selling, and there's roles where you are given the product you're selling. And I think if it's something that you're behind, you believe in, you're making a difference, you can feel good about what you're doing and feel very engaged. I mean, with work's tough for all of us, but if you can find a job or something to do that you actually enjoy, it's gonna make work a lot easier. Just on your mental health and your day and how you feel at the end of the day, and how you get up and approach your day in the morning. I mean, if you enjoy what you're doing, man, oh man, that can make life substantially more enjoyable, I would say.
So you already covered 4 different things. I don't know if you did that intentionally, but let me rehash what all the different categories, and then I might want to go deeper on a couple of them. So no, not in a bad way. It's great. So you actually ended on, you got to love what you're doing. And it's funny because across the interviews that we've done so far, it's always one of them where but I'd also go back and ask, like, if you went and chatted with your buddies, how many of them do you think, if you just chose them randomly, would actually say they enjoy their weekday, 6 out of 7 days in terms of their work commitment, or 4 out of 5 business days? How many would actually say that?
It's crazy. More than you think. In my small network, I think
that's amazing.
I find that I don't have a lot of friends that complain about what they do. Everybody's been successful in their own right. People that have not been happy have moved. And I don't, when I think of personal close friends, I don't think I have a friend that's been sort of stuck in a long rut that's hating getting up, in the morning to do what they're doing. I think there's different motivations for different individuals, though. I mean, some people are out playing golf, client golf every day, and that's that's what motivates them. They've
Right.
pigeoned themselves into a role where they literally have to spend 5 hours a day entertaining clients, and they get off on that. That could be exhausting. There's individuals that maybe don't love their day to day, but has huge upside. There's people that are selling, leasing out warehouses, but it's
Yep.
creating huge financial upside, which is enjoyable. And I think so your motivations will determine what makes you happy. I mean, are you motivated just by the financial upside of your position? Are you motivated by how you feel day to day? Are you motivated by what you're doing, and are you actually making an impact or a difference? So I think everybody internally has their own motivations, but that's gonna lead to sort of your mental well-being at the end of the day. So yeah, there's people that maybe not love what they're doing day to day, but they get compensated well for it. And so when the buzzer sounds and the day's over and they're out having their fun, then that makes it all worth it. So
Right.
yeah, I'd say that's the only difference. Is everybody is just, what are you looking for in your day? What are you looking for at the end of the day? How do you want to feel when you get up in the morning? And I think that's very personal, but I don't. I don't have a lot of friends that are deep in a rut, that are stuck somewhere. Because I think we'd get them out. I think we'd push them to make a move.
That's an observation in and of itself, though. I honestly don't think most people would be able to say that. So the fact that you do roll in the circle of people that do enjoy what they're doing, that probably says more about you than about the percentages of the group that actually enjoy their job. So that's my takeaway from that comment. You said earlier on, figuring out your skill set. Like, what's your? I always call it like a superpower. Everybody, I think, does have one, and it doesn't have to be as exotic as I'm unbelievable at mathematics. Like, it can be that, but it might be as
Right.
simple as I'm. And people laugh when I say this, but maybe you're just an amazing logistically, and you're great at driving a trailer to different trade shows. And you and I both having done that, that is a skill set, and there's something
Yeah.
to be said. Maybe you're good at negotiating with the union to be able to get ahead of the other 50 vendors that are trying to move into a warehouse to set their booth up. Like, again, you'd mention it from a sales perspective, although you then went a little deeper and said you love the R&D side of it. You love doing market analysis. You love the client piece of it. So I actually argued that you've highlighted a number of versatile skill sets that do complement one another. So just, again, as an observer, that's kind of what you hinted at. But if you said there was one thing that you picked up on really early on, is it the pure working with end clients, or what would that be for you? I know you're good at lots of different things, but what's the one thing that stood out for you?
Yeah, it was just working with people, just putting myself on the front lines.
Yeah.
That was the point of pursuing the sales position. And I think the other piece was financially. I mean, as a sales individual, there can be a lot of upside, and that's important, and that has been important to me. Typically in a sales role, there's no cap on your earnings. It can be tough depending on the industry you're getting into, where they
Right.
start you out, where they baseline you. But if you've got sort of the guts, to be compensated based on the efforts you put forth, there can be a lot of upside, and you can take that and apply that to every industry. I think there's upside in sales for every industry. So I think that was the other motivation is one, what do I like to do? Okay, well, I like chatting with people. Like, that's something that comes naturally to me.
Yeah.
I like problem solving. I like my day to be a little bit different. I'm not, that's just what gets me going. And then, financially, where's the upside? And, there's a lot of jobs out there that offer a salary, and, maybe the company does well, there's a bonus, but in a sales position, if you can tie yourself into the right organization, the right product, if you can be a part of something from the ground up, there can be lots of upside. And that was another, I don't want to say that's selfish, but it's definitely a motivator for pursuing this angle of a career. It was the potential upside for sure.
I don't think it's selfish. I think if that is what motivates the individual, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And to your point, if you get up in the morning and you need to be connected to whatever it is that gets you that high, so to speak, and motivated to do what it is you're going to do. I think that's perfect to be able to know that and articulate it. I'm curious, as far as the default sales mode, working with clients, do you get that from a particular relative, or do you think it was your upbringing? Is there someone that stands out in your family that was equally as good at that?
I have no idea, to be honest. I mean, sales is a skill, and I guess I've been doing it for 25 years. You learn it over time. So, I mean, I could, at a young age, I could shake a hand and say hello and introduce myself to an adult, and that's probably where it started. But it would have evolved from there. And I couldn't pin it down to one. I never woke up one day and said, "Oh, I want to be a salesman." Like I never did. It just seemed to come naturally. It seemed to be a natural fit to my personality.
I'm not saying this is a good thing, but I always found that in university or coming out of high school, if someone suggested, "Oh, you should be a salesperson," that there's a bit of a stigma tied to that.
Right.
Where had someone asked me in grade 12 or first university, "Oh, I think you're going to be a salesperson," I don't know why. I can't figure out what the image or perception in my head would have been at the time to say, I don't know why you would think that, or that's insulting. By the way, it's the absolute opposite, in my opinion. Like the most successful people I've met, whether they're in the legal space, whether they're in banking, whether they're accountants, it's actually those that are good at any one of those trades, but can actually sell their services and network and build out their reputation.
Yeah, that's bang
Nobody
on.
taught me that back when I wish they had of, or I had a better mentor at the time at school. But do you find that as well? Like compared to
I completely agree with everything you said. There was a bit of a stigma attached to a sales role, but then you look at any professional today and who's thriving in their industry. If you're a lawyer, even if you make partner, well, guess what you have to do? You have to go create revenue. You have to generate clients. Well, how do you do that? You need to network. You need to sell. If you're an accountant and I want to make partner at this accounting firm, what do you need to do? You need to go generate revenue. And so it really doesn't matter whether you follow a professional career, have a professional education, whether you're selling, consumer product goods, whatever you do, there's definitely going to be a sales element to that role if you want to continue to grow that role. I mean, in any business where you can attach a revenue stream to yourself, you're going to set yourself, you're going to create your own importance within that organization. Once you can put a revenue stream to what you're doing. And with that, I think with any business, this is like you said 3 things about what I do. I think I have 10.
You do a lot of different things. That's okay. That's the beauty of this format. We can go in a lot of different directions. And I'm actually going to come back to a few others that you already mentioned. So keep going.
But to end that point, I think for anybody that, whether it's in my personal network, within my organization, once you attach a revenue stream to your organization, there comes a ton of flexibility with that. And it doesn't matter if you're a partner at a law firm or a partner at an accounting firm or you're running. If you're if you're working in a financial institution, once you start generating revenue for that organization, I see flexibility correlate directly with that. All of a sudden, individuals, they create they can create a beautiful work-life balance, if they will, because when you're bringing money in, nobody's going to question you if you need to take an afternoon off to check out your kid's baseball game, or if you're headed out on Monday for a boys trip for golfing, whatever it is. And I think going back to early in the career, for those that are interested in in how it looks, I mean, it's probably a decade of punching the clock, but once you start creating that self-value and attach revenue stream to yourself within whatever organization, that's when the flexibility comes, and that's when you're really producing and it's tangible. Like people can really measure your success and what you're doing, and they stop paying attention to the time you're sitting at your desk.
Right. And you're funny in that you highlighted earlier, you've always gravitated towards smaller entrepreneurial businesses versus big corporate Canada. And having done both myself, like no question, there's different unforeseen I don't know, you might want to call it expectation or just more structure to it. And do you think that's part of why you've gravitated toward the entrepreneurial piece as well? Or was that just coincidental?
It's possible. It's possible. It's just what's happened for me is one network is just one job has opened up another job, has opened up another job. So typically when I look through my career, the 4 or 5 things I've done, it's usually within the network. It might not be the same industry that I've been working in, but within the network or whatever I've been doing, a new opportunity has arisen within that job. And that's what I've moved as I've progressed to different roles. And again, I've been with the same company for north of 10 years now, but the rules have been changed. I've probably had 4 different roles. We completely invented a new company in a new industry. So even though it's been 10 years, I've probably switched a job every few years. But I think that's what's kept me out of the corporate environment. There's times I've looked and I've interviewed, and sometimes it's been just geographical location. I haven't been willing to move or uproot the family or commute in traffic. It's been it's a big. I mean, commuting to and from work is definitely something. I did it early in my career. It's something I want to avoid for the rest of my life.
That's great. But honestly, you think that, or I laugh at it, but if you can say that or know enough about yourself to know you're going to avoid that, all of a sudden it makes your decision much easier because you've eliminated certain extended variables in making a career choice. Like to your point, I don't want to commute anywhere. Maybe I don't want to travel as much. I'm not saying in your case, but just whatever that might be, I want to be able to go watch a baseball game with my kids at 3:30 in the afternoon. Whatever it might be, that in some cases will influence somebody's direction and kind of appetite for the work-life balance that they're trying to seek out. So all part of where you are. So I think knowing that, as trivial as it might sound, it's a luxury that you get to make that decision.
Hey, you spend 2 hours a day on the 401, you realize real quickly there's got to be a better way. You start looking for a better way, so that's definitely something I work to avoid.
I love it, Simsy. We've reached our time. You've contributed a lot. Any last closing words or anything you want to add? I don't know. I guess I apologize for not being as focused to the structure. It was tough. It was tough. I mean, it was tough to nail down 3 top things, but for the audience, I wish anybody who's listened to this and is listening to the podcast the best. And always, stay motivated, stay looking forward, and I wish everybody the best of luck. You're being hard on yourself. That template isn't concrete. Like, you did cover 5 important points. So no question the audience will grab something from that and be able to run with it. So, buddy, thank you very much for joining us on the Go Get It podcast. Look forward to seeing you again soon, and have a great day.
Take care, Rob. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye.
Let's go. Hey, this is Rob Butler on the Go Get It podcast. Thanks very much for joining us today. We appreciate you listening to what it is we can bring to your career evolution. And if you liked our guest, feel free to 1, follow us, and 2, put a question in the reel, and hopefully our interviewee can respond to that question directly. With that, I'd like to encourage you to join us on next week's edition on the Go Get It podcast. Thanks again.